Right, the second day of February 2026. Good afternoon. It is exactly 4 p.m. East African time here in Kenya, Nairobi. Thank you for joining TV47 as I get you informed on the latest at this hour. My name is Sheilar, Chelangat, and we begin now. Confusion gripped Nairobi today after sections of matatu operators went on strike, despite earlier indications that the action had been called off, leaving many commuters stranded. Several vehicles stayed off the road or blocked key highways, triggering high traffic snarl-ups on major routes into the city. Conflicting statements from transport leaders added to the uncertainty as thousands of commuters were left stranded. Police were deployed to clear roadblocks and manage the traffic gridlock. And away from that, hundreds of youth from the Karen area today gathered for the UDA Youth Karen Forum, a civic engagement event aimed at mobilizing young people to register as voters and engage with government empowerment programs. The forum, organized by youth leaders aligned with the ruling United Democratic Alliance, brought together representatives from various universities and other stakeholders to discuss the importance of active participation in the ongoing voter registration exercise ahead of the 2027 general election. Speaking during the event, youth leaders underscored the critical role young voters will play in shaping the country's political future. They urged eligible youth to register as voters, saying strong youth turnout would be key in the 2027 polls. The forum also promoted peaceful civic participation and national development.
Our main aim today is to urge all the youth to participate in all the government youth activities. Tunashukuru serikali, tunashukuru President wetu Ruto, amefanya vitu mingi sana kwa vijana. Tunaomba aendelee kutushika mkono, aendelee kutuweka kwa meza. Isikuwe tu tunakuwa hapo, but we be in the table when it comes to decision making. Tusaidie vijana wote na tukumbuke vijana wote wa two-term na vijana wote wa UDA.
Nafurahia sana vijana tumeungana Karen Ward. Tunaanzia kwa grassroots tukipanda mpaka juu. So nashukuru sana na wafurahia juu hiyo kujileta pamoja ndio nafanya tunakuwa satisfied sana juu na hii chama yetu ya UDA.
Na tumekuja na tunataka kuhakikisha ya kwamba vijana pia wana take part katika kila jambo ambalo linaendelea Kenya. Wakati huu vijana hawawachi nyuma na vijana hawabaki nyuma. Tumeamua na tumesema Karen tuko mbele na tumeanza na tunasonga na tunaenda hivyo hivyo.
Achi letu la kwamba katika hapa chama cha UDA kuna nafasi kwa vijana wote, na vile rais alivyotuambia tunaenda katika safari ya Singapore. Sisi kama vijana tuko na nafasi ya kuenda Singapore kama vijana na kuensure that we are the ones that are leading na tusibaki nyuma katika initiative zote za rais.
Siku ya leo kama haujachukua kura, uende utafute kwenye wanafanya registrations na uchukue kura. Ndio tuweze kubadilisha hii Kenya, tuweze kushikana pamoja kama vijana. Hiyo kesho yenye tuliambiwa itafika ndio ni leo sasa.
And still in the world of politics, United Green Movement Party leader and presidential hopeful David Maraga has hinted at joining a united opposition front ahead of the 2027 general election, saying broad cooperation will be key to unseating President William Ruto. Maraga says voter registration and civic engagement will anchor his campaign alongside a justice-driven reform agenda. Speaking in Mombasa ahead of a coast-wide voter registration drive, Maraga condemned the recent chaos at ACK Witima Church in Othaya, describing the incident as a stain on Kenya's democratic culture. He backed calls for nationwide demonstrations to demand accountability, urging swift action against those responsible. Maraga also called on security agencies to protect places of worship and uphold the rule of law without fear or favor.
tunataka kuondoa Ruto. Wale ambao wanataka tuungane pamoja, tunataka kuungana na wale ambao kwanza kabisa wanataka kumaliza ufisadi, wizi wa mali ya nchi. Wale ambao wanapigania hiyo, tuko pamoja. Na wale ambao wanasema ile tunaita impunity, ati mtu mkubwa hawezi kuchukuliwa kotini au nini, tumalize na hiyo. Alafu mnatupiwa tia gas. Hata kama iko mtu ambaye amupendani naye ameingia huko kwa ajili ya wale ambao wako huko, you are supposed to be restrained. Even I am sure even the policemen are trained that if you have to use your firearm and the person against whom you want to use your firearm is in the middle of other people, you don't shoot. You don't shoot. So those are among the things we want. I supported the demonstrations, particularly the young people, to register and to register, get your ID cards, register, so that 2027 you have a voting card. Hiyo ndio njia peke yake unaweza kusikikwa.
And a new InfoTrack national poll has revealed mixed public awareness and perception of the Nyota Fund, a flagship government program aimed at empowering young people and small businesses. While many Kenyans understand the fund's intended goals, the survey shows limited engagement, lingering transparency concerns, and doubts over whether the funding amounts are sufficient to deliver lasting economic impact.
The awareness is massive. 78% of Kenyans are aware of the Nyota Fund. So I believe this time the government has done quite massive education and communication so that people are aware of this fund. Because if you realize only 3% not sure, and of course 20% claim not to be aware, and you'll see that the 20% who are not aware, majority are within the band that are not even targeted within the fund. Ours was just broadly, do you know Nyota? But now we didn't dig deep on the different components. I think there are about 4 components within the Nyota Fund. And initially people thought it was a loan which will be refunded, then later on clarified it's a grant, you don't have to refund. So those miscommunication, misconceptions need to be cleared.
And into the corridors of justice, the Milimani Magistrates Court has allowed the withdrawal of a hate speech case against Mumias East MP Peter Salasia after he complied with court-imposed conditions. In his ruling, Magistrate Paul Mutai said there was sufficient evidence that the MP had actively participated in peace campaigns, reaching more than 1,000 people both physically and through social media platforms. The court noted that the peace initiative remains ongoing and that Salasia committed to sustaining the campaign. The charges were withdrawn following an application by the Director of Public Prosecutions after an agreement with the National Cohesion and Integration Commission to resolve the matter out of court.
I have also seen evidence that he participated in a mainstream media campaign where he christened himself Peace Ambassador to preach peace and bring Kenyans together. Finally, there is evidence to show that he's running a social media campaign on his official X-page account. Largely, there is compliance with the court order as directed. This one is continuous exercise, and the accused is given undertaking to do more under the circumstances, and having confirmed compliance with the court order as earlier directed, I will allow this case to be drawn under Section 87A of the CPC cash bail deposited will be refunded to the depositor.
I want to thank the court for withdrawing my case after complying with the court's order or instruction that they gave me in terms of addressing issues that they had instructed me to do so.
And leaders in Nakuru County have criticized Senate Majority Leader and Kericho Senator Aaron Cheruiyot over alleged night meetings with members of a specific community, accusing him of actions they say could undermine unity in the county. Speaking this afternoon, the leaders called on the National Cohesion and Integration Commission and the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to investigate the senator, accusing him of engaging in tribal politics ahead of the official campaign period. They warned that such activities threaten peaceful coexistence and social cohesion in Nakuru County.
Hizi constitutional offices zinakaa kama puppet. They are controlled from a certain quarter. Ziko hapo in actual sense, wao ni kama British bulldog ambaye haina meno. Kwa hivyo zile tunasema ya kwamba ni kobia, hiyo ni shughuli yake. Kama sisi tumesema. Si governor alisema, hiyo ndio kuripoti, tumeripoti. So tunasema ya kwamba IBC ijue ya kwamba mass transfer of voters is illegal.
Hakuna siasa imekubaliwa na IBC. Siasa imekubaliwa miezi 6 before the election. That's what the katiba says. So now, watu wameenda kwa siasa kufanya usiku, kupea watu fedha kufanya nini? Is it in the constitution, that one? Kuna mambo ama mikutano imefanywa last week. Usiku kupea watu fedha kufanya nini? Is it in the constitution, that one? Kuna mambo ama mikutano imefanywa last week upande wa Solai. Na hiyo mikutano ambayo imefanywa, mengine imefanywa usiku, si ati sisi kama viongozi hatukujua, tumezijua. Na tumejua mpaka nia imekuwa ni ipi.
And Nairobi United's historic debut in the CAF Confederation Cup is set to end at the group stage after a 4th straight defeat, going down 1-0 to Tanzania's Azam. Tanzanian international Fei Toto's first half strike sealed the win for Azam, leaving the Kenyan side bottom of Group B without a point. Wydad and Maniema occupy the top 2 qualification spots on 9 points with just 2 matches remaining. Nairobi United had hoped to register their first group stage win after scoring their maiden goal in last week's 2-1 loss to Azam in Nairobi. And Arsenal's Premier League title hopes have been boosted after Manchester City were held to a 2-2 draw by Tottenham Hotspur. Pep Guardiola's side surrendered a 2-goal lead as Spurs fought back to force a draw, leaving City. All right, that wraps up News at 4 p.m. with Sheilar Chelangat. Of course, more updates in our subsequent bulletins. Do enjoy the rest of your viewership. Good afternoon.